Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where every day I explore how technology is transforming our lives, business, industries, and indeed entire world. And occasionally we also take a look under the hood at the technology that makes all that possible, but we're all a little bit guilty of taking for granted. And today I want to explore the dark art of SEO, search engine optimization. And on my search to find a suitable guest to talk about this topic, I came across a great story too. And that is because Kris Reid, today's guest, is also known as the coolest guy in SEO. That's not a bad title to have, is it? And he's also the man behind audit SEO, which is a digital growth agency. And after obtaining his degree in 2006 in software engineering from Queensland University of Technology in Australia, he decided to scratch his itchy feet by heading off to London. And during his time in London, Dublin, Brussels, he worked under contract with Euroclear, Visa Europe, Sony Research and Development, and another long list of big household names. But then he felt that urge to scratch the itch again, and he's now in Saigon, in Vietnam, waiting to speak with us today. I think we're in for a great one. So buckle up, hold on tight, because I'm going to beam your ears all the way to Saigon so we can speak with Kris Reid, coolest guy in SEO. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Kris. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure, Neil. Pleasure to come to you from Saigon in Vietnam. So my name's Kris Reid. I'm originally from Brisbane, Australia, and I studied software engineering at university. Many years ago, went and moved to the UK to work in finance, where they pay lots and lots of money. So that was pretty great up until 2008 came along, when the global financial crisis made the financial world disappear and my job along with it, which kind of sucked at the time because I was like, living the good life, and then suddenly there were no jobs to be had. And so I spent the next couple of years traveling the globe, all through Europe, Asia, across Russia and the US and the Caribbean, to try and work out what the hell am I going to do with my life, because there's no jobs for the foreseeable future. And so I started learning a new type of programming. I was building this online game just because I was a computer geek, not for any real business strategy. And as the game came to fruition, I was like, well, how the hell do you get people to a website to play the damn thing? And so that's when I started learning about SEO. And back then, backlinks were absolutely everything. So a backlink is just a link from one website to another, and they're still pretty much the secret behind how Google works. And so I built a bunch of backlinks to my website. It shot up in the rankings. I was like, oh my word, this is awesome. I ditched the game, didn't even finish it, built some software to organize and build backlinks, and I've been doing that ever since.
Love that. And from there, of course, you're now described as the coolest guy in SEO. Whenever you search your name, that's the first thing that comes up, which is an incredibly cool title to have. And it's great hearing what put you on that path. And was your love for SEO always there, or did it just come from that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea. I'd never even heard of it, until I myself looked at how to rank a website. And, when I realized how crucial backlinks were to it, I realized, sitting on a little gold mine there. So, we built some software to organize and sell backlinks, ranked a bunch of different websites. Back then, it was really, really easy to rank websites. Google was not as clever as it is today. So you could build less quality websites and rank them easier and cheaper. And so we ranked a lot of different websites. Like if you Googled backlinks, we'd have a few sites in the top 10. And that generated us a bunch of customers. And so most of our customers were actually SEO companies, because who needs more backlinks than anyone else is SEO companies for their clients. And so that worked really well for years. And then we started thinking, well, why don't we provide them more services like keyword research and content and analysis? And then we started doing the whole work. So we're like, well, why the hell are we making these guys all the money and servicing their customers? Why don't we have our own? And so that's really where we've focused the last couple of years.
Love that. So from there, you followed your passion. So what happened next? What brought you to where you are today, would you say?
Yeah, so I ended up moving to, Cambodia, then the Philippines, and opened offices in both of those locations. Then moved to Saigon, which is where our headquarters is now. We've got a pretty big team. All of our key staff are here in Saigon. We do have lots of great remote staff all around the world, which is really cool. But we still try and keep the brains of the operation in one place. And I mean, it's certainly been a journey, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And we've still, this whole COVID business has been pretty terrible for a lot of businesses, but it's a great time to be working online, right? Like our business has not stopped growing. Like when COVID first happened, we lost one customer because he works in public speaking and his income completely stopped. And I was a bit scared going, oh my God, how many customers are we going to lose? But just everyone wants to be moving online. So it's been fantastic, like fantastic for business. And, having a global organization that can work anywhere with, both employees and customers that are anywhere, it's the future and a great way to work.
It really is. And I think for many people listening, though, SEO is often considered a dark art, especially if you do a Google search or if you go on somewhere like Fiverr, for example. There's many people selling backlinks, which are pretty much useless because they're just non-existent sites or scam sites. But what would you say the critical components of a high-performing website are?
Yeah, see, most people don't even really understand what the point of a website is. And that goes in with web designers. They're terrible at it and they just take people's money and waste it, I feel. A website is like a business card. It doesn't work unless people find it. And, a business card doesn't work if it's sitting in your drawer and you're not handing them out. A beautiful website doesn't sell things. It's words that sell things. And people need to see those words for them to matter. So unless you're a web designer or a wedding photographer, your website doesn't really need to look that beautiful. What's most important is it's functional, that people can find it, that it shows exactly what you do and shows that you're an expert. And leads people to take action and work with you. One thing people often forget because they get so embedded in their own industry and don't see about it from layman's point of view. You need to understand your customer is often searching for a problem. They don't know what the solution is, or they'd already find it. Like a plumbing business is fine, right? People know that your toilet's broken, you call the plumber. But something that's a bit more abstract, like how to get more customers online. Ourselves, we don't particularly want to rank for SEO type keywords because generally people searching SEO, they want to learn about SEO and do it themselves. And they're not our customers. We want to get in front of business owners that are going, well, how do I get more customers? How do I grow my business? They're interesting keywords for us. So this is the thing that people need to understand way before you even, start building a website is do keyword research. You need to understand what your customers are searching for and in what volume. And from that, it drives everything. How you structure your website, what are your main category pages, what content do you write? Like we work with quite a few big podcasts and, even podcasts should be doing that before they do an episode. You should have keyword targeting. What do you want to make that podcast about? Because especially if you have a business podcast where you really want to be converting customers at the end of the day, you don't need to have 100,000 listeners because you're not doing your podcast for sponsorship. You're doing it to generate customers. So even if you only have 10 people listen to it, but one person becomes a customer, it's a win. But you need to know what that keyword should rank for. Like a really good example is Mike Michalowicz, who is a pretty big time author, Profit First and Clockwork, which are two fabulous books that I highly recommend. So I was on his podcast way back in November last year, so almost a year ago now. And it's still generating us customers because we did what we call a single page optimization for it. And it ranks for keywords like, how do I get more customers online? And so people go to Mike's website, see this great bit of content that we wrote, listen to the episode that I did with him, see the authority, come straight over to our website. And by then you've already leveraged someone else's authority. And so they're, ripe to become a customer and that converts really highly. So that's a kind of long-winded answer to your question, but that's the point of a website.
No, I absolutely love that. I love that angle you've taken as well. And I appreciate this is a huge question and probably a question that you get asked every single day of your life. But are there any actionable tips that you can share around how to boost your online presence with SEO and reputation management? Because I think it's something that everybody's searching for. But as soon as you go online, things get quite murky quite quickly, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. And you do have to understand what's the best use of your time too, right?
Yeah.
Like Mike McCallitz, again, he has a fabulous book called Profit First, which is about how to have a profitable business, and highly recommend any entrepreneur read it. And he certifies people to be profit first accountants. We work with a profit first accountant to handle our books and make sure our business runs profitably, which is fantastic. You know, I know enough how to read a P&L, but I don't want to dive into the deeps of it, and I'm not going to be as good as our accountant. So it's way better to be outsourcing that to a company that's specialized in that. Like SEO is not easy. Like I know it at a pretty decent level, but nothing compared to our like analysts who do it day in and day out. They're real experts. It is tough. Like to build a valuable resource, like, you know, a website that's generating you predictable, consistent leads. Like whatever business you're in, there's people that are actively searching for exactly what you do. And they're either finding you or they're finding your competition. And so to have people find you and then your website convert them into a customer and do it predictably, like that is so valuable for a company and worth investing in. So like what you really need to work out is how much is a customer worth to you? You know, how many more customers do you want? And then from that, you can build a marketing strategy to go, okay, this is the plan that you need to do to get that. And like, unless you want to be an SEO yourself, I would not recommend like trying to learn it. It's a lot to take in.
And if we have somebody listening anywhere in the world now that has an underperforming website, what can they do to turn it into that predictable cash generating machine that they're dreaming of?
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that you can do is, I was going to save this in the end, Neil, but I'll just mention it right now because it fits in, is if you go to our website, artourseo.com/techtalksdaily, I'll personally make you a video review of your market and your website. So I'll show you what your potential customers are searching for, in what quantity, and I'll show you some simple things you can do to change yourself to get your website in front of them. You know, usually what I show is a really easy way to audit a website is if you type site, SITE, and your domain name, this shows all of the pages that you have indexed in Google. And they're in pretty much the order of what Google sees as the most authoritative to the least authority. So usually your homepage is number one. If it's not, you've got some big time site structure issues, and your main category pages should be the next ones. If not, site structure issues. But what you can see is what the title tags are and what the descriptions are. And so they're really important. You know, if it's not clear straight away what that page should be, all of them should be keyword focused and about what the person's searching for, not what you do. So like if you're a plumber, you know, it should say plumber Sydney. It shouldn't say, hey, we've been in business for 20 years or whatever the heck. No one's searching that. It needs to talk about what the person's searching for and how you're the solution to their goods. So that's a really quick way to audit a website that anyone can do, but it's only going to get you so far. Like what you need to do is have proper keyword research done. Like that'll help you understand how your website should be structured, what content you need, and really what the competition is. Because like if building a high performing website was easy, then absolutely everyone would be doing it. And then it'd be hard again.
And I love what you said there, understanding what content you need, because I'm as guilty as anyone at this, but a lot of people just go out there and create content without any particular plan. So are there any tips around creating that content plan and performance analysis and all that kind of thing that you can share? So
there's a fabulous tool called Ahrefs, which if you want to do some SEO yourself, you can go to their website. They're the best SEO tool on the planet. And they have a trial. I think it's $7 for 7 days. And if you're doing your own website, 7 days will give you more than enough information to keep you going for a while. But they did an awesome case study recently. They analyzed 2 billion pieces of content, 2 billion. So that's a heck of a lot of content. And they found that 90.63% of content gets no organic traffic from Google. So it's like almost 91% of content gets zero traffic from Google. Wow. And it's a very, very long case study. And they find that 0.21% of content, so 0.21, almost no content gets any significant amount. So it's 1,000 visitors a month. Only 0.21% get 1,000 visitors a month. And their huge long case study basically points to, if you do not have backlinks, you cannot rank in Google. And so there's just a massive correlation between high ranking pages with high traffic and backlinks. So you can spend all day long pumping out beautiful content. If no one's linking to it, Google's not going to care about it. No one's going to find it, and it's going to do nothing. So don't really focus on building content first. You need to build your domain authority. Like, that's what's really important, because if you pump out content, no one's going to care about it. You need to build up your authority first.
And as regards to domain authority, because what can happen a lot of times is you get a lot of spam websites linking to you, which can bring your domain authority down. Is that quite a hard balance as well, to be constantly maintaining that?
Yeah, so I wouldn't really worry too much about spammy backlinks. You know, like backlinks, which are just links from one website to another, you know, they're the secret of how Google works. Because, you know, like, anyone can write any crap they want on the internet, and that's how Google will trust you. The more websites that are linking to you and the more niche specific they are, the more trust they have. Back when Google brought out the Penguin update, I don't know, 6 years ago now or something, there was a little brief time that you could do negative SEO, where you could create spammy backlinks to someone's website and it would get them penalized. But Google recovered from that really quickly. And spammy backlinks, Google more just ignores them now. Like, it's probably not going to cause you a headache, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. What you need to spend time on is building backlinks. Yeah. You know, I do a lot of podcasts because they're great backlinks. You know, like, if I go on a tech podcast like this, you know, I get a great backlink from your website, and it's niche relevant. You know, it's like, we're talking about business, we're talking about SEO. That backlink is fantastic. You know, and the reason it's fantastic is Google sees the trust. You know, it's because it's like, I have to invest all this time, you know, giving out my knowledge, and you can't just build 1,000 of them in one day. You know, I can't do 1,000 podcasts in a day. Yeah. So that's why Google trusts backlinks that are generated that way. So if you're providing good value, whether it be in, you know, audible form like this, or even in a YouTube video, but like guest posting on people's websites, like showing that you're an expert in your industry, that's what Google's looking for, and that's how you rank a website.
Love that. And on this Daily Tech podcast, something else I always try and do every day is bust a few myths and misconceptions. And it did take me until I think I was 40 to finally walk away from the IT job and set up my own business. It took me a long time to find my way. So can you also help bust that myth that you just need to be a certain age to establish financial security and go out there on your own? Because it's just not true, is it?
Yeah, I mean, getting out there on your own, the more money you have in your pocket, the easier it's going to be. You know, thankfully I worked in finance and had quite a good safety net to, start my entrepreneurial journey. But, you know, I did not know how hard it would be. Starting a business is tough. And, you know, I was young, a lot younger than I am now, and, you know, ballsy and, you know, naive, really. You can educate yourself by reading a lot of books. I read a heck of a lot more books now than I did then. And, you know, the more books I read, the more knowledgeable I get. You don't have to, you know, other people have been through this before. Learn from them as much as you can. Like, you know, I already mentioned Mike McCallum a few times. I'll mention him one more. Like, his book, Clockwork, is fabulous. It's about how to build a business that doesn't revolve around you. Like, that's a real business. Most entrepreneurs build themselves a job. You know, like, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not that great at it just yet. I am still required in my business, but I'm certainly getting there. Like, our SEO team runs without me. I just had lunch with our main executive team, which was great. And they just tell me how everything's going, and then I can get back to doing what I do, which is talk to people like you. But, you know, I still need to talk to people like you, or we, you know.
And on the subject of SEO, I mean, you're right in the heart of this industry. You must overhear a lot of conversations and see a lot of comments online. Are there any particular myths that you hear about SEO that you'd like to finally just lay to rest once and for all?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing is, people think it's not predictable, which is total BS. Yeah. Like, lots of, especially big podcasters, like we work with quite a few big podcasters, like Entrepreneurs on Fire, John Lee Dumas, and a whole bunch of other big guys. And a lot of these guys don't understand SEO at all. And the only thing they rank for is their brand name, which is ridiculous. They've got this big name, and so that's all that people are finding them from in Google, because they've guests on other people's podcasts or YouTube channels or whatever. And sometimes they'll use paid traffic, but it's like paid traffic is expensive. People think it's really effective. I mean, it clearly is effective, or Facebook wouldn't be worth anything. But SEO is compounding. If you spend 10 grand a month on Facebook ads, well, it's only ever going to get more expensive. And as soon as you stop spending, you stop getting. Where every dollar you invest in SEO, well, you get what you spent last month, this month, and you get it next month and the month after as well. It's compounding, which is so much better. And a lot of people think that it's not predictable. It's just, you're just gambling with Google. And that's total BS. Google sure is getting smarter and smarter every year, but it's looking for the same things. It's looking for a good performing website that has clear site structure, great content that people can trust, and a good user experience. You follow that recipe and you'll win as long as Google is around. They're not going to change that. And it is predictable. Like we actually guarantee our results, which is a fabulous lesson. That I actually got that from Perry Marshall's book, 80-20 Sales and Marketing. He has one chapter, and he's basically like, in every sale there is risk. It's either you're taking the risk or the customer's taking the risk. If you take that away from customers by offering a guarantee, like you're taking on the risk. And man, as soon as we started providing guarantees, it's like makes sales so easy, because everyone's like, well, man, these guys must know what they're doing. They guarantee their work. And we can guarantee our work because it's the same damn thing. We work in so many industries. It's always the same process. Find out what your customers are searching for, structure your website, show Google that you're authority, build some backlinks, and up you go in the ranking. And it's just a matter of having a strong call to action, and people come and buy things. Same across every industry.
Brilliant. And I've got to ask though, what's next for you? Where do you go from here? Is there anything you can share about the road ahead in these uncertain times, as we're all nervously navigating these uncharted digital waters? I mean, where are you heading?
Well, our biggest problem at the moment is recruitment. We're growing at such a great rate that we are struggling to keep up with the demand. We've got a pretty good recruitment team and training team. So our focus is really on being able to onboard staff faster and getting them integrated into the team faster, and getting awesome applicants. That's where we're really focusing, and what is requiring most of my time at the moment. But as soon as that is kind of done, which I'm hoping to have it kind of finished this quarter. Next quarter, I can get back to our own marketing and really pump in the leads and the customers. So that's where we're headed.
Excellent. And for anyone listening who would like to find out more information about what you do, I'm sure they could just Google the coolest guy in SEO and you'd come up. But what's the best way of finding you online and contacting you or your team if they've got any questions? Yeah,
the coolest guy in SEO is certainly a great way to find me. But go to ardorseo.com/techtalksdaily and get a video review of your website and your market. That's the best way to get started.
Excellent. Well, there's so much valuable information you've parted with today. Those SEO tips, reputation and management, content plan, performance analysis, so many big questions. So I'm sure you're going to be getting a lot of messages from people there, or at least open the curiosity in people as well. But more than anything, just a big thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure, Neil.
SEO is something that I've neglected for many years, and I'm quite fortunate that doing a daily tech podcast gets many people from all over the world to my website to listen to those great tech stories. But what I need to get better at is helping people understand that when they're also on my website, that they understand that I help businesses create written and audio content such as podcasts, audiobooks and thought leadership blogs, business blogs, etc., because my site is not structured to deliver that message completely effectively. So for those reasons alone, I'm going to be exploring the options that they have over there and a little bit later this year. So and a big thank you to Kris for just making me aware of a few things there and educating me on things like SEO tips and tricks, reputation management, content planning, performance analysis, creating predictable revenue streams. And I think Kris made a great point in the interview there, that all those things I've just mentioned are great. But to many of us, it sounds a lot like accounting. I love what I do for a living, the writing, producing content, producing podcasts, all that kind of thing I love. But when it comes to accounting, I just let the accountant take care of that, because it's just a world that doesn't interest me. I just hear kind of white noise all the time, and they do a fantastic job in looking after me. And freeing up that time, of course, enables me to produce more podcasts and produce more content, because that's what I do. And I've always neglected SEO for that very purpose, because it's not something that really interests me. I know it's a very dark, mysterious art, and there's people better at it than me. So maybe it's time that I looked into that. But over to you listening. I appreciate we might have a few SEO experts listening to this podcast. I want to hear your thoughts too. Educate me, educate the listeners. This is your true calling, and you can do that by simply messaging me. techblogwriter@outlook.com, my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. And if you need anything at all, or just want to ask a question, you know where to find me. But that's it for today's episode. So a big thank you for listening wherever you are in the world. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.